In this video, we'll discover the rest of the tools that we have in edit mode. So first of all, here we have the knife tool. You can call it with K. So the knife tool, basically it cuts, it adds some geometry like a knife, okay? Like for example, if here I use the K here, you can see that I can draw directly some shapes like that, and it will create the geometry that will follow my cut, okay? You have different options in there. So you see that when you call the option with K, you have different here options that you can see. You have the angle constraint, though, so you can activate it with A. So for example, here, if I don't have the angle constraint, it will just cut really like that, okay? But if I activate it, now it will be with 30 degrees. You can see that you can manage here the 30 degrees, and you can here, for example, cut with 90 degrees like that, and you are sure that it will follow this angle, okay? So it can be useful sometimes to have this one. Another one that is useful, I will go, and if you make the mistake, you can use escape and you will exit from this mode, okay? So with K, I come back to my knife, and I can use as well the cut through, okay? For example, you see if I make a cut like that, it will cut just in front of me. But sometimes I need to make a cut all around the object, So what I do here through the object, so I will call my knife here with K, and then after I will use C, cut through, the option cut through here. And when I do that, I will have here the possibility to cut, as you can see, along the geometry, just like this, okay? So K again, I start from here, I use the C here, I cut through the geometry, and basically it adds one more. It works better with here, for example, a cylinder. Here, if I cut without this, okay, it will cut just in front of me. And if I cut with the cut through here activated, okay, you can see that now I did cut all along the geometry. So can be useful sometimes. You have the possibility to use little options after you cut, like for example, if I make a K like that, okay, and enter, I can come back into my last operation here with F9 here, knife topology tool. No, it doesn't give me this. You can play with it with this tool here. You have the knife tool and you have the bisect tool as well. So the bisect tool here will cut the geometry directly like that, okay? Especially if you have the right tool here. So let's say I can cut like this, okay? And I can remove, follow the angle here if I need, and I can clear the inner or clear the outer. So that's why it's very interesting, and you can feel what you did cut as well. So sometimes can be useful, even if now with this tool Polyline Carve, you have something very similar and very efficient. So that's it for the knife, can be useful sometimes. What we can do now is see a little the poly build. And the poly build here, it's something that I don't use that much here, honestly, but sometimes can be useful. So maybe I will add a sphere for that. Or maybe with a plane, it will be easier to show you that. So okay, let's go there. And now you can see that when you select here your object in edit mode, you have the different possibilities. It highlights the edges in blue, so it's kind of extrude mode like that. Oops, sorry, up. You can see that I can just extrude by click and drag, and with the control click I can make triangles like this, okay? and it will give me new shapes very easily. So for example, if I want a new triangle from here, okay, and a new triangle from there, okay, I can, and now I can build my shape if needed. Okay, so I can make interesting shapes just like this. Honestly, with the extrusion tool, I prefer to work with because yeah, this one is not really efficient in my opinion for modeling, but yeah, you can try yourself. So I will not spend a lot of time on this, and let's go with a cylinder now. I will select maybe 24 to not have too much vertices, and go in edit mode now with tab, and we will select the spin tool. So the spin tool will make an extrusion along an arch. So you can select the axis that you want, okay? So let's say I will select this one, and by default it will go around the 3D cursor. So you can, for example, go in front view here and select shift right click to tell that the 3D cursor will be here, okay? Then you have your selection here in edit mode, okay? And then you just drag like this and it will give you an arch. So very good to model, for example, all the pipes, joints or things like that. Okay, so shift click, you put the right localization of the 3D cursor, and then after you just drag like that. Okay, very efficient. And you can come back, add more subdivisions, for example, if you want 32 to have more something more circular. You can select the angle, so now it's 180, but I can choose 90, for example, and come back with less. So yeah, very efficient one to make some curves into a pipe or something like that. Very good one. Okay, but it can be used in architecture as well. For example, if you have some pillars like this, let's make a pillar here with a cube. Okay, I will put my object in the center, so I will make Shift Z to make a kind of shape of pillar here, and then I will just drag here my object there in edit mode, so the 3D cursor can be in the center. And then I select the top here, go in front view, and put 180 degrees by just select the right localization. Okay, so I select the face here, good, and make 180. Put the number that you want here, that you need, and you have an arch very easily. Okay, negative 180, sorry. And now you can extrude back the last one here into the z-axis. And to be sure that these two will have the same localization, let's say you have this, for example, and you want the two have the same localization into the z-axis. What you can do in that case, you can go and select everything in wireframe view and make a SZ0 like this. Everything will be in the same localization into the z-axis. And now you can put your arch on the ground and you have everything you need. Okay, so it can be useful for this kind of task as well. Okay, then what we will have is the smooth. So the smooth will have a shortcut for that. It's a smooth vertices like this. I use it often when I want to smooth a part that I did model, usually with organic shapes. Okay, so let's say I will have here a monkey that I will subdivide with Ctrl+2, and I will Ctrl+1 maybe, might be enough. Okay, and I will apply this. When I apply a modifier here, I have the geometry enabled there. Okay, so what I do usually when I model organic shapes like that, and let's say I would like to close this geometry. Okay, so I will remove these faces. Good. And now I would like to come back with something that will have the same shape globally, okay? And to have a smooth part here. So if I just make a face here, okay, it might work, and after add with the knife the geometry that you need, okay. Let's make one like that, and with the knife like this, we will make the one that we need here. So we have quads here, enter. We need just one here, another one, yeah. But it's not really the shape that I want. So what I do usually, I select just the center like this, and with J, I put it above the geometry. And then I use the smooth option. So I can use this tool here, and you can see that it will smooth just like that. But what I do usually, I don't use that tool again, I use the smooth option there. And what is good is to repeat the smooth with Shift R. And now look at that. You have something that is perfectly aligned with the rest of the geometry. And that has a nice smooth curve here. So that's why it can be very useful. You can repeat the action in case you want. So for example, you can put more and it will smooth directly without using Shift R like I did to repeat the operation. Okay, so this one very handy, especially in organic shapes. Very, very efficient for that. Here you have the edge slide. The edge slide is simple. If you have, for example, a cube here and SX, okay. So for example, let's say you have you add with Control R a new cut here, okay, and you would like to move this edge here, but to move along the geometry. Like for example, if I move it now, it will change all the geometry. Me, I want to move along the geometry, so to slide this curve, to slide this edge. So what I will do, I will use G and G again. You can see that G moves freely, and if I use G again, it will slide the geometry. So yeah, again, that one not really interesting because just with the shortcut with GG you will have it directly. And again, this one works with vertices, GG, okay, and not that one. So you have to select vertex slide and edge slide just with GG. It will work whatever you have selected, even a loop, an entire loop, GG, and you will slide your geometry like that. So yeah, can be useful sometimes, actually. We have the shrink here, fatten. So it's different from scale. What I could show you here is when you add a geometry like that, okay, and you extrude it and you scale it. Good. So me, I would like to scale to make it fatten in that case. And you can see that when I just use the S option, the scale, it will scale into that direction as well. Okay, so now this line here is bigger than the one that was here before. Okay, so what I prefer to do in that case is to use the shrink and fatten. So I will make Control Z a few times until I got there. So now I have the extrusion that is made, but with the right click I did put it in the center, okay? And now I can use the shrink fatten option. You can see that it will keep the right one, and you can make it in that case like this, for example. So very efficient to add some geometry, some nice shapes. For example, let's say you want to add some geometry like that, okay, and maybe with GG I will slide that one and add another cut like that, okay, and with GG I slide that one again just a little to have something that works. Perfect. And now I will have this loop here that I can select just like this, going into the corner here, and I have this loop of faces. So if I make an extrusion, okay, and make Alt S, that is the shortcut for shrink and fatten, I can make some interesting shape like this, okay, as you can see. So can be very useful to create geometry to extrude inside and outside without changing the geometry too much, okay. For example, it works well with subdivision surface as well. Like for example, if you have here a UV sphere, good, add a modifier, generate subdivision surface. So now I can add maybe a loop over there, select the two loops and extrude it, make Alt S. So you can see that now I will have this kind of shape, very common one in organic, let's say, sci-fi shapes. If I make a shade smooth here, you will have something very interesting. And what is good with this, if you take it back and make an extrusion again and Alt S this time into the other, in outside, so with shrink fatten, so it's fatten, this one. Now you have this kind of shape that can be very interesting as well. So yeah, or for example, maybe you have a selection with a shape, interesting shape that you want to keep, let's say something like that, okay? And this you could make, for example, a Y to have a border. I don't want individual, I just want the border. I want to select the outset, to select the outer, and now I can use an extrusion and make Alt S again. And as you can see, it will draw interesting shapes just like this. It can be outside, it can be inside, and sometimes you just remake an extrude and an Alt S, and at this point it creates this kind of shape. Very interesting as well. So yeah, the shrink fatten here, it's very good to add some details after an extrusion. Yeah, very powerful one as well. You have the shear, so the shear, as the name tells it, here when you have a selection like this, for example, you would like to keep the selection here, so you can manage here a shear with this kind of option. You can see that it's not the same than rotate. If I go there and make Control Z, if I make a rotation, I lose my shape here, okay? So it's not straight anymore. And what the shear can help us to do is you make the same, but keep the shape. So very interesting. Or you can do that with, for example, with a cylinder there, if you want to use that. You want to have 45 degrees angle here. You put it like that and you will not lose your shape. That's what is interesting for it. So if it's not degrees, but it's an offset here. So if you put 1, it will be 45 degrees, okay? And at that point, what is good is that I can extrude into the x-axis, and now I have a corner that is perfect, okay? Now I can put it back by doing the same way, not this way, but that way, okay? And here I come back to 1 and it will give me the perfect shape I want, okay? So can be useful sometimes to make some right shapes here. And with this loop now, with Control B, you can make a bevel or something that is smoother, okay? So yeah, these tools are always useful. And the last one, finally, is easy to understand, that one with the UV sphere. Okay, you just select a part somewhere and then you can just open the geometry. So be careful because it creates often triangles, but if you want to fill it back here, it will be with triangles, I guess. Or strange geometry anyway. So yeah, it has its limitation, but sometimes it can be useful to open a geometry that is closed. For example, let's say you have a mouth that is not well done for now, and you want to open it. It can be a start for continued modeling. So yeah, this is another possibility here of add some geometry here by opening a geometry that is closed. So that's it for all these tools. You can see that it's already a lot to manage and to understand. That's why we will make some little exercises. The first exercise that we make is the cup, the mug, and so we will model that again and again, and still it starts to be natural for you. And then after we will continue with more complex shapes like headphones.